Martin.
Good morning. Good morning, Maria. Sorry.
Yeah, it's okay. No problem. You can be late.
Thank you so much.
Now, Daniel, I think I've got a thing here I've got to give you. Now, to ask Martin questions, can we have Daniel and Fatma, please? Okay.
Well, hello everyone. My name is Martin Salamanca. I am a student at Victoria University on foundation courses. Today I'm going to present you one specific topic. This is important issues around New Zealand. The title of the topic is Testing Hives on Animals. This is a very interesting topic in the face of New Zealand at the moment. Also has been around 18 months discussed in the parliament. Okay, let me explain. Well, maybe some of you at the moment are thinking why I decided to put these colors in the presentation. Let me explain a little bit about that. I decided to put the red color because it's one of the most important colors for Labour Party. Labour Party, his representative is Trevor Miller. Trevor Miller trying to encourage the people for the hot south. That is the place that I live. Okay. We had the green color because it's the representative of the government of New Zealand. Okay. Do you recognize these pictures? Some of you maybe yes, some of you know. Okay, the drugs in New Zealand. The last 18 months, drugs have been discussed in the question in the parliament. Why? Because some people has two different phases about drugs in New Zealand. Some of them use to have like a cure for the cancer, and on the other hand is party pills, or these drugs is recreational drugs. So let me explain more about that. This kind of drug is named Cados. Is similar to cannabis, but is from the laboratory. We had here around some different types of these Cados, but with more additives or chemicals. Okay, in New Zealand, people try to test animals. Why? Because they want to know if real these drugs make harm for the human beings, or absolutely can help to the humans about the cancer. Okay. Of course, any topic has positives and negative things. Yeah. At the moment, half of the people, we can say, people that has strong beliefs they are not according with this. People that has their own pets, they don't want to put some kind of animals like dogs or cats and like this test, kind of text. In the last 18 months, people go to the streets and protest in small parks. These are in front of the street or the fish and trees. These are a specific place where the people sell some kind of these drugs. Okay, these some facing problems about people using this kind of drugs. We have women that are raped because they're using these drugs and they don't know how, what is happening at the moment because they lost their mind. Some of them doesn't have this kind of problems. A little stolen things, so robbers around because they don't have some money, so they want to get the drugs, but they don't work, so they use some kind of ways to find the money to buy these drugs. This is another place. We can see the representation, the New Zealand Herald newspaper. This was on Monday, on May 2014, recently. We can see here the Prime Minister name, or the Prime Minister of New Zealand, Rebecca Williams. We can see here. She is the writer of the article. She was asking so many questions about this important high text on animal for the Prime Minister. The Prime Minister is able to answer this kind of question because he is the most important people that read a lot of submissions from people from New Zealand. So, he said, in the Parliament we passed the legislation this week and try to pull all legal high products shop sales until they can prove to be safe. This means they stop the drugs, the selling drugs, until they have the results in the animals. So, but this making a kind of revolution in the people, different thinkings, different feelings. So, the health department absolutely come involved in this. They have different points of view. They say about the drugs are good for the cancer, cure cancer, and of course about the recreation drugs. They need to be able to give good results about it is useful or not useful. The name of the principal person in the health of the department is Peter Dunn. He say they are going to test these animals, but only just 2 species because people really don't want to have their animals like pigs or cats. Yeah. We had here one of the pictures that was taken in one of the protests around Parliament. Mr. Kate said, if the product should not be tested other than with animals, then it failed to meet the testing regime or will not be produced. This means if they don't have results in this test on animals, they don't want to let people produce this kind of drugs again. But the decision was likely to be abruptly welcomed after the Labour Party vetting decision about a lot of callings or people that in around New Zealand more than 40,000 submissions online and sent to the government, and they really, really care about these people. So, we had one example of how write submission here. This was brought for Jessica. Jessica shared with the government what she think about that. One of important submissions was writing for one boy from under 18 years old. So these submissions are very important because are hearing in the head of the government. So everyone in New Zealand able to write something for some submission for the government, and doesn't matter about what is the important issues or what is the issues, but your voice is hearing in New Zealand. This is very important. You can participate in the government. Mr. Yonke made online one little test where the people can say yes or no. They don't need to write a submission, but they can sign like that. So I print out some of them. So if you can participate at the moment, you don't need to write your name. Can you pass around? Thank you so much. You don't need to write your name. You just can sign, and we will see what is the result in the end of the presentation. How many people is agree? How many people is disagree? Okay? Thank you so much.
Peter.
We had the name of the Minister Peter Down of the Department of Health here. He announced the last week that all synthetic drugs will be banned, so it means prohibit, no sell, until 2 weeks until they prove if the drugs are safe or not safe. Why is it important? Because these drugs in New Zealand is kind of produce money, you know. When you buy a drugs, this means pay tax. The Prime Minister was say if psychoactive substances can be tested solely on rats, they won't be tested on animals at all. This means if it's not possible to have good results on the rats, they don't need to be tested in any kind of animals unless that people give the permission by submissions or not. Okay? We had some spoken about Trevor Miller. He is the head of the Labour Party. He said today, cake confirmed no synthetic product will be able to be manufactured in New Zealand because animal testing will not be allowed. In the last 48 hours, within 2 days, the submission was wrote, yeah. And this is the website of the Labour. They say thanks for speaking out for the animals, because the animals can't speak, you know, for themselves. Some of the people say think animals have feelings, you know, and they really want to protect the animals, because some of them are like a child. People don't have child in New Zealand, some of them, so they care about bringing them. We had to address of videos here that we can have a brief view of what is going on, what happened in the parliament.